brought up to believe that education is a key to success. Education can really change a person and can make him to be having creative and thinking and having a desire to act and to make a decision making. I'm here with a holder of a degree in Counselling Psychology, Masters in Human Rights and Global Ethics, the Career Development Coordinator, and the founder of professional courses, and also mostly the founder of Healthy Heart Organization, H2O. Welcome, it's nice to have you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Can you introduce yourself to the people?
I think much have been said, but my name is Japhet Chris Rugema. I'm a resident of Zaleka, and I'm married. I like to work with youth mostly because that's my passion.
That's great. That's great. When I was going through your career and your career life, and then I bumped up meeting a word which saying, if you don't build your dream, someone will hire you to build his dream. That's huge. Like, I saw that and I was really amazed. Like, if you don't build your dream, someone will hire you to build your dream. How did you come with that? Yeah.
In life, when you are just living without having a dream, right? So it doesn't mean that you are not living life. You are still living life, but a life without a dream. So it's a life living by building someone's dream, right? Because there is people out there who want to reach to a certain level, right? And honestly, you cannot reach to a certain level without people's help, right? So they will need those kind of people, right? So there is what we call vision runners. So those are the people who help others to reach to their visions, right? So if you want really to achieve in life, you need to be a visionary. So you need to have a vision. You need to think of where you want to reach. Right? But if you are not thinking, someone else is going to think on your behalf. And then yourself, you are going to be running to build that person to reach there. So sometimes people think that they are reaching to their dream while they are helping others to reach their dream. So you need to have a goal. You need to have a dream. You need to think of where you need to be. So it doesn't matter the circumstances, doesn't matter the challenges. You keep dreaming. You keep pushing. One day you reach there.
And as you are saying, which means you must have a big dream. As you are saying, as if you have a dream, and which means you are fighting for a dream. So can you please tell us a brief journey from where you were from the beginning up until where we have you now, a holder of Masters in Human Rights and Global Ethics? That's huge. Like, it's not everyone in the campus having that.
That's very true, but it's possible. Everyone can still get it. Right? So maybe I should shock you. I'm not a fan of education.
Okay.
So I grew up not liking education. And if you look at my secondary school, I was focusing on football, dancing. So those are the things which are in my life, right? But my mom always kept pushing me. Kept telling me that I don't have any inheritance to give you. What I have is education. I should give you the education. So for me, I never really valued it until my mom passed away. So I started focusing on my education not because I loved it, but because I wanted to see what my mom promised. Right? So there is nothing which I could see as a barrier. Right? I finished my secondary school just as other refugees. I was hoping to go into WOSC. I applied for the first time, they did not pick me. So the reason which they gave me was not sufficient, right? But I said, okay, I will try again. Right? And then when I applied for the second time, I was admitted in the French program. Right? But my dream wasn't to go to Canada and start doing jobs. My dream was education. So I wanted to reach to my full potential. So I turned it down. So I told them that I cannot study in French. So for me, I think they were a bit rude to me because they said, if you can study in French, which means you don't want education. So I told them, okay, fine, but rather than going to Canada and going around the street where I could still be here and study, I would choose to be here and study. So I got enrolled in diploma. I finished my diploma. I got a scholarship with Dennis Hall. So I went to Blantyre to do my bachelor degree, and I didn't think that my career or my dream or my education should just end there. So I kept pushing. Right? So when I came back, I was working with GRS, and the opportunity opened up. So honestly, I was hesitating to take it because I don't picture myself as a politician. Then the master's was coming in political science, and I was like, this is not my thing. But I just said, okay, let me just try. Let me just give it a try, and then I'll see. Right? I applied, I was selected, and I hate being a failure. So I said I'm going to do it, I'm going to focus so that I should not fail. But when I was studying it, I learned a lot of things. So I found out a lot of things I did not know. So that made me start thinking now, right? Because when we are talking about human rights, it's human. Everyone who has a breath is a human. Right? So now, when you are leading the UNHCR convention they are having with countries, there is some reservations, right? So let's say take an example of Malawi. So refugees are not allowed to work, right? So now, if refugees are not allowed to work, how are they going to survive? So you are killing their right to survive, right to life, right? So they are not allowed to move, right? But it's a right, it's human right to move, right? So everyone have a right for a movement, right? So now the bigger question which I'm having and which I haven't found the answer yet is a human and refugee different? Does mean that when you are a refugee, you are not a human?
Exactly.
So if you are a human and you're a refugee, why some of the rights of human not applying to the refugees, right? So I haven't found that answer. Hopefully, maybe I'll find it. But this is the bigger questions I have in my mind. Why? Who are refugees? Right? Because what we are looking at, definitions we read in dictionaries and other things, it's not what is on the ground, right? Because the very first thing they have to know that the refugees are humans. That's the very first thing. So if they are humans, they need to give them their rights as humans. They shouldn't reserve some of the rights because they are humans. Because human rights, they say it's universal. So when you are talking about universal and then you are cutting some people out, it's no longer universal. So my bigger question I have is, if human rights are universal, then refugees should gain their rights.
Exactly.
But if there are some rights which are reserved for refugees, which means they should change. They shouldn't say human rights are universal.
Yeah. That's true. And as you are saying, we refugees then were not treated as humans. So can I have and ask you who you are an expert in education. So how do you see the potential of education in refugees here in Zareka?
That's really a huge question, because when we are introducing, you said education is the key to success.
Yeah, exactly.
And I believe in that, right? Yeah. But I'm trying to write an article based on the education being a key to success. Right?
Yeah.
But now the first thing we need to understand what is success. Right?
Yeah.
Because
What is success?
most of the time we define success based on other people's success. Right?
Yeah.
So just because a person has bought a car, you think that this person is successful, right? So now you are working the rest of your life trying to buy a car because you think that success means
Having a car.
having a car.
Having a car.
Right?
Yeah.
But now the first thing is success. Everyone defines success individually. Right? What does it mean to be successful in life? What do you see as success? Right?
Yeah.
Because some other people, they will think that, okay, for me to be successful, I just need to get married and have a better life.
House.
That's successful. That person doesn't need a car,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or someone else will say, for me to be successful, I need to have a degree, right? But some other people, they don't need it, right? So everyone has to define what is success, right? So now, when we go into education and we say education is key to success, what success are they talking about?
What success?
Because the general success they are trying to put in place, they are saying that, you know, you get a job, you are paying a better salary. I don't see that as a success, right? Because if education is a key to success, which means education is useless for refugees. Because we study, you don't get a job. Your life remains the same. Right?
Yeah.
So now the bigger question is, where do you want to be? Right? And how education is going to help you to reach there. That's the question.
Yeah.
Because that is your success. Right? Because if you are thinking that you are going to study and get a job as a refugee, it's a dream.
It's a dream.
Right?
It's a dream.
So now, if we are really going to focus on education, what success do we want to achieve in life?
Yeah.
So that's the bigger question refugees has to answer in their mind individually. What does it mean to be successful to you? And now, how does education going to help you to reach there?
That's nice. And now, in 2017, Malawi and the UN, they signed a treaty in New York. The treaty was integration of refugees' education to Malawi. That was something like 5 years ago. So they said that they discovered that in this camp we are having people who have potential in teaching, who are good teachers. For example, French. Like they can have French teachers from the camp. And there are people who are good in science, and there are people who are good in humanities here in the camp. So the treaty was to integrate them into the Malawian society, so that they can be interacting together with the Malawian society. How do you see that? How can that impact the development of this society?
That's going to be a really great achievement and open doors for refugees, because one thing which hurts me a lot is I feel like refugees are being used. Right? So even if those policies they are going to be delaying, they don't delay because there is some challenges, but they delay them with a purpose. Right? Because if you are going to be integrated and you're going to get a job somewhere, your salary is going to be bigger. Right? So you're going to enjoy life.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
But still more. So you mentioned an example of people teaching French.
Yeah.
Right? There is a lot of refugees who are teaching French around the Malawi.
Exactly.
Right? So you go to Blantyre, you go to Lilongwe, you go to Mzuzu, you find them. But now the bigger question, how much are they paying them?
How much?
Right? So if that person is going to get a document that is going to be integrated, definitely the salary has to change. But now, when we are talking about business, it's not good for business, right? Because now that school has to give more money to a person. So now delaying those policies, it's trying to make refugees work, but since now they are employing them illegally, they have to pay them the way they want.
And you have no choice.
You don't have a choice. You need to survive, right?
Yeah.
One is better than zero.
One is better than zero.
Right? So it's better you paid little, at least you gain something, rather than just quit and sit down, right? So for us, we don't have a choice because we need to survive, right? But now when I'm looking at the policy, it's being done deliberately because they want cheaper labor.
They want cheaper labor. That's true. So you, as a psychologist and as a person who is an expert in education, what do you think has to be done for things to be right? What is missing? What's the missing puzzle? Yeah.
I have been thinking about that, and I think what's needed is the open mind. Right? So we don't go to school so that you can be employed, right? Because one of my lecturers told me, and I was really pissed. I didn't know if I'm going to continue with my school, but he said to me and say, education will never make you rich, but will make you a slave to the rich. Right? So now I was like, why am I paying all this money to be a slave anyway? Right? But that is really true, right? Because if you are working for somebody, you can never develop in life. Right? So you keep working on the rules, regulations, right? Do's and don'ts. Right? So that's what you just keep working on. But now developing your life, you don't develop. Right? So you are going to be employed somewhere, they are asking you to work 8 hours a day. So you are going to finish tired. You don't even have time to start thinking on your own personal life. You go home, you sleep, you wake up in the morning, you are rushing to work. Right? So life goes on like that, but you find like the company you are working for, they are keeping growing, but you are just the same. Nothing. Right? So what I need for refugees to put in their mind, we are not going to school because we need to be employed. We go to school because we need to open our mind. We need to think greater than we are thinking now. And then we need to do things. No one is here to help refugees. Trust me. Right? Of course, we are going to see these charitable organizations. They are not helping refugees. They are helping themselves. Right? So that's the reality.
That's the
right?
reality. That's the reality.
Because if there is no refugees, there is no donation. If there is no donation, no employment for the people, right? No vacancies, nothing for them, right?
UNHCR will close.
Exactly, right?
They will close.
So now we need to think that we are in the world where we are in business. So business has taken the ground, right? So there is no one who is going to give you anything for free. Those things have ended, right? So a person will give you something because he also gaining something from you, right? So if people are donating things to refugees because they know there is something they are gaining from the refugees, right? So now we need to think now on that area carefully. Right? If no one is willing to help us, how can we help ourselves? It's very possible. We can still help ourselves. So if we are working in unity, my strength can be someone's weakness, but his weakness can be my strength, right? So we work together, we develop our life.
I should be there. You were saying that we should be helping ourselves, and you in education, you went very much deep into education, and you saw some challenges which we are having here in this community, like some of the missing things, and then you introduced Maisha Youth Course, and it really changed the community. Like I have many people who benefited from the course. My cousin is one of them. And can you tell me, what did you see was missing up until you bring the idea of Maisha Youth course?
There is a gap between education and life.
Okay.
Right? And I'm not trying to offend anybody or trying to discourage anyone, but it's politics. Education of Africa is politics, right? So they don't teach us to try to do new things, right? They teach us to use the rules, right? That's why you find, like, let's take an example of coronavirus, right? So you are going to hear around the world different countries trying to develop a cure, right? So they are trying to do vaccination. But how many countries in Africa they are doing vaccination, right? Because when education comes to Africa, they are teaching doctors how to inject someone with medicine, how to identify disease and what best medicine to give them. But they're not teaching them on how to eliminate the disease. So we Africans, we are not really able to think and say, okay, there is this challenge, what can be the solution? Every time when we have a challenge, we are looking at the European to bring the solution. So we just study the solution. If the challenge is like this is the solution. We just memorize, right? And the life goes on. Right? But now, it's time where we start thinking on developing, helping ourselves. Right? I was watching Al Jazeera some weeks ago, and there was a great debate. I loved it. Right? Because they are talking about the war in Ukraine, how is it affecting Africa, right? The whole Africa, the commodities are rising up, right? But now the bigger question was, how the product, the food in Africa, they are really scarce. Does it mean that the food were coming from Ukraine, right? But that's now what shows that we are muchly depending on the Europeans, right? We have the land, we can cultivate, right? So if there is things going up, for example, chocolate, fine, they can raise the price of chocolate because we know we are going to import it outside, right? But how are you going to raise the price of maize while we are cultivating it in Malawi, right? How is it related to Ukraine, right? Yeah. So that is the mentality we are having, always depending on someone. So when that person gets a problem, it's also our problem, right? Yeah. So we need to start thinking on resolving our own problems.
That's true. Right? That's true.
So if it takes you a year without eating meat, so be it. But what we need to put in mind is that I'm going to use the little resources I'm having to resolve my own problems. I don't need someone else to bring me resources.
And according to what you are telling me and what you are saying here, it seems like we are weak in planning and also sustainability. So I was searching on your skills. I'm seeing that you are good in planning, event management, and sustainable development. So what can be the really solution for that? For us to trust ourselves and have a good planning as to plan for ourselves. We should not wait for planning from the outside. Yeah.
The answer is very simple, and I can answer it in just one word.
Okay.
It's logic. So we just need to start thinking logically. Yes, we are thinking, but how do we think, right? Because when we are talking about thinking, right now you are hungry, you are thinking on how to get food. So it's a pattern. So you go to a market, you buy, you go home, you cook, you eat. It's a pattern, right? But now when you are talking about logical thinking, is beyond. We think deeper, right? So yes, I'm hungry today, and there is a food which is available for me. But now the bigger question: how can I create a food, right? So the bigger question is not how to get the food, but how to create the food. Because getting a food, we get it in the market, but who cultivated them, you don't know those people, right? So you are using the resources, you are having money, but what if the money finish, right? But now, when we are talking about sustainability, you are having a food now. How can it last forever? But the food doesn't last when you are depending on someone else, no, right? Someone else is cultivating, is bringing the food on the market, and then you feel like I will always go to the market and buy. No, right? The bigger question is, if this person is bringing the maize, I need the maize. How can I create my own maize?
Because I really need the maize.
Yes,
Yeah,
right? So you create a source. So when we want to drink water, we don't just go in the middle of the river and then you take the water you drink, right? Because you don't know what's the challenge on the source, right? So when the source dries, you're also going to die. Keep drinking the water, but drink when you are going searching for the source.
Yeah.
So the moment you find the source, you take care of the source, because it's always going to be giving you water to drink. So what really needed is people to start thinking logically, starting looking for the source, not only the source of the solution, but also the source of the problems, right? So if you are hungry now, what caused it? If you are unhappy now, what caused it? So we need to deal with the source.
I remember very well, there's something which I can't forget from the class I had from you. The conflict tree. You taught me the conflict tree, and I think the conflict tree can make you understand the source, as you are saying, the source. So, here in this community, what is the main source of the problems we are having?
I might say the main source of the problem is depending on other people. Right? A lot of people think that the solution to their problem is resettlement. Right? But some few weeks ago, there was a guy who was killed in USA. He was here in Zaleka, he was resettled, right? He was shot and dead, right? So he went there thinking that he's going to find the solution, but he was going toward his death, right? So everywhere you are, there is a problem. Right? So now if we really want to end the problems we are having, we need to think of Malawi as our home. Because a lot of refugees, they are living here not as the citizens, but they are living as if they are passing.
Yeah, that's true.
And then people will tell you, no, this is just a transit, right? But now we have people who are having 15 years, 20 years, right? But now if you look at those people, they have nothing in life. So the one thing, yes, people want the resettlement, and maybe it's good for them, right? I don't judge them, right? But now when you go abroad, you continue where you stopped in Malawi. But now if you are looking, most of the people here, they had life in their countries. When they entered Malawi, it's more like they put it on pause. And then they're waiting to start it when they are going abroad. Right? But my mom taught me something. He said, if you don't leave something, you don't find something. So we need to know, yes, we are here, we are not Malawians, we are not going to live here forever. But the bigger question, what are you going to leave in Malawi? What sign is going to show to people that you lived in Malawi? I believe in a legacy. So you need to leave a legacy, leave something, right? It doesn't matter how life was worse for you, but now what are you going to leave? People who are going to come after you, what are they going to learn from your life you are living here? So leave something. So every life you need to live it to the full potential.
That's true.
So the very first thing which I think is the solution for the refugees problem is trying to live as if this is their home. So they need to develop they need to grow.
You need to grow. It's true. And thank you very much. Cause we should now come to Healthy Heart Organization. Cause I think Healthy Heart Organization saw that can be a problem area before other people. Because other people, as you were saying, they wait for the problem to come and then they start planning for the way out, for the solution. And you observed that, and you saw that this can affect the society. This can really affect the society. And Healthy Heart Organization, it aims in restoring psychological and emotional wellness of people. And now, what are you really doing so that you can help people, maybe to prepare them for that challenge which they will face in the future? What are you really fighting for?
When that happens, it's going to be a disaster. All right. Honestly speaking, the money people are receiving, they're not enough to sustain them throughout the month.
5,000 per month. I'm not giving money
Right.
much money.
Right? But now it has sticked in their mind that they live by that money. So if they are going to cut it, they are going to die. Right? That is a psychological problem. So you find like a person is receiving 5,000, but maybe to sustain that person throughout the month is going to look for 15,000 to add, right?
Yeah.
Which is more, right?
More than what he's getting.
But he's going to still thinking that 5,000 is their life. If they remove it, they're going to die. Right? So now you asked me as what are we doing as Healthy Heart Organization?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we are trying to prepare people psychologically so that when it happens, there shouldn't be so much stress. So I'm trying to talk to different organizations and try also to make them realize that there is a problem ahead. They need also to start preparing as an organization.
Yeah.
Right? So that's number one. Number two, you said that there is no jobs in Dzaleka.
Yeah.
But for me, I see a lot of jobs in Dzaleka. Right? So one of the things now we are trying to do is trying to open people's eyes to see the opportunities in Dzaleka. So that's one thing. So right now we are developing 2 courses, which we think that it can help people to prepare for their life. So if a person finishes that course, he will be at least well prepared.
Yeah.
Right? So you talked about Maisha course. Yes, it came and went. I believe that their time ended there, right? Because JRS didn't want to give it the value it used to have. So right now I'm trying not to do the same mistake I did. I'm not trying to create a course and give it to a certain organization to own it, right? Because right now I cannot even start teaching Maisha course outside JRS. Because the contract I had with them is that course belongs to them, right? And there is one time I received an email from JRS regional director. So he was asking about the course, how good it is, and he wanted to implement in the other countries where there is JRS, right? But surprisingly, how the leadership of JRS responded to that email, I was surprised, right? Because for him, he wanted to connect with me, who developed it, and see how can we add some other aspect to help different countries, right? But now they cut me off, and I couldn't go forward and say this is my course, I can help, because I signed a contract. Right? So right now we are trying to develop 2 courses, which we think that can help. So one course is in financial literacy, because honestly, in Dzaleka there is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Because if we couldn't have money, we couldn't be having all these banks being attracted to come to
Come
Zareka.
to Zareka.
Right.
Why are they here?
Right?
Yeah.
Because bank comes because there is money somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So now the problem is that people have money but they don't know how to use it. So now we're trying to create a course on how to teach people to use their money properly. How can you plan for the future while you're enjoying the present?
Yeah.
Right? So that is one of the things we are trying to do. Right? The second one, it's marketing and sales.
Marketing and sales.
So we believe that there is a lot of opportunity in business, but people, they don't see it. Right? So now we want to help people to open their mind and see that Zareka has a lot of opportunity in business. Right? Because people, when you talk to people about business, they always tell you that, oh, they don't allow us to go out. They don't allow us to go and do things in Ilongo. But why can't you do that within Zareka?
Yeah. Why can't you do that in Zareka?
But now the problem is people, they don't know how to market their products. They don't know how to advertise for their things. And they don't know how to talk to customers. They don't know how to find customers. Right? There is one time, it's a long time ago, I went to Lilongwe. I used to have a small shop, calling it DCT. So when I was buying some of the things in town, someone noticed that I'm a refugee, and then he came to me and said, I want to do a deal with you. Right? So he wanted this lotion, Carolite.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I asked the guy, like, so I live in the camp. Why asking me? And you are living in Ilongo.
Yeah.
Why can't you find it? But he told me something which I was shocked. Right? He told me like the whole Carolite which are found in Ilongo, Blanda, and Muzuzu, they are coming from Zareka.
Wow.
Right? So I didn't know that.
Yeah, even me too, I'm knowing it right now.
Right? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But now that is one of an example showing that we can still make this area a center of business.
Yeah.
So rather than going outside to sell things, we attract people to come and buy from us here. So it's very possible.
It's very possible.
Why can't we make the product which are going to attract people? People, they should be willing to leave Lilongwe to come and do business in Zareka. Why we are willing to move from Zareka to do business in Lilongwe?
That's true.
So those are the things we are trying to figure out, to try to help people to see that.
Yeah.
And then we believe that when people have that knowledge, they will start using it, and then when the disaster comes, they will be ready for them. There's no stress because they are earning money already. So even if they cut that money, they are still good.
Yeah, that's still good.
Right?
I really understand, because as we can see, 10 years from now, people from the camp, they were depending on Lower Boma. Like when they want to take some wholesales or do some order of the things, it's Lower Boma or maybe somewhere in Rumbazi. But now we're having that Madi, and people from Lower Boma, people from Rumbazi, they come to shop here. Yeah, even Tomato, they're shopping here in the camp, which means we really have the market. We really have the market. And a market, I really saw that where there is people, there is market. There is market. We can observe maybe through the Tumaini Festival. When people come, people make business, as you are saying. They really have to know how to use it, and through the marketing and finance, as you are saying. So this is just a reminder. This is the Readers Talk. The Readers Talk, we always have ideas, we share ideas, life experiences and stories from the camp, which happens each and every Saturday. So here we are with Mr. Japhet Chris Rugema. So, sir, there are two theories which I want to ask you, which you can give me a thought, and I would like to have a thought from you. There is an idea from a theory from a man called Machiavelli, which says managers assume that all human, they are lazy and must be therefore motivated and controlled. Other managers, that's a theory from Machiavelli, other people, they are lazy by nature, which means they have to be motivated and controlled to work. And now there is also another theory by Loyola, which says managers assume that humans are basically motivated and therefore they have to be challenged and controlled. Okay, they have to be challenged and channeled. So these are these two theories work. The Machiavelli, the theory, their challenge is to make people work. The challenge is to make people work. And for the Loyola, their challenge is to make people want to work. People should themselves, they should want to work. So to you, and with these two courses, the finance and the marketing sales, which theory from these two which you think it can be the better, which can apply to this society of ours?
I believe that people are lazy.
Okay.
I believe that people are blind.
No, they're not lazy, they're just blind.
Right?
Yeah.
So I liked that we need to channel them, not to control them. Right?
Yeah, okay.
Because when a blind person, you give them a stick, right?
Yeah.
They can walk on their own.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
But now that's when they are willing to walk. Right? So that's why I'm saying that they are blind, they are not lazy. Right? Because we already have the motive to work. Right? We already have it. Right? The basic need.
Yeah.
We need to eat. Right? So this is a good motive for you to work. Because you know if you don't work, you die.
Yeah, no eating.
Right?
Yeah.
So that is already the motive. So we already have that motive to work, right?
Yeah.
But now most of the time we don't know where to start from. So we are like blind sitting, we don't know what is around us, right? So now we need people to come and give us the stick so that you know when you're walking, you know this is an obstacles, I need to move away from it. And this is the clear way I need to use.
Yeah.
So that's what the courses are meant to do. To give them the knowledge which they are going to use. So we're not controlling them. We're trying to give them the stick to walk on.
Wow. They should work on their own.
On their own.
Yeah. They
Because-
should have that willingness to work.
Exactly.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, that's nice.
Because if it was about controlling people, we could have created job opportunities and employ people.
Yeah.
So we are controlling them, right? But now we are giving them mind to think, create on their own,
Yeah.
live their life as bosses.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow, that's true.
So I was talking to Ubuntu,
Yeah.
right? They have opportunities, right?
Yeah.
But now the question was why people are not interested. Right? But now when I came back, I started looking at those opportunities. I find that people, they don't know that there is those opportunities. They are blind.
They're blind.
So they need people to open their eyes so that they know this is what I can do to improve my life.
Yeah. That's very nice. So I don't want to go very much far. I have this question. What's your vision now, from now on going forward? What do you really want to see a change? Because I do believe there is a say by Mahatma Gandhi which says, be the change you want to see. And I'm sure you are always the change you want to see. And we always see you as the role model. You are the change. You will see you. When we see you, we see change. When we see you, we see change. When the community sees you, they see change. Now, what change are you fighting for? What change do you want to see here in this society? What would you like to see them in the next 5 years, even the audience who are here?
I was talking to my students, I think it's last week. When you have friends, there is what we call a friend zone. So you are in that zone, and then you have people you are comfortable with. But now, when you move out of that zone, you don't go with those people, you leave them behind. And life becomes miserable. Right? And that's one of the mistakes people do, because we Africans, I don't know, for some reason we are so jealous. We want to develop, but we don't want our friends to develop. But you are not doing yourself a favor, right? Because if you own a bicycle, you're going to be friends with people who have bicycles, right? Those are the people you talk to. When you buy a car, so we are going to be forced to go in a zone of people who owns a car. So now to adapt to them is going to take you time. So you're going to feel lonely, you're going to feel rejected, because the moment you go back to your old friends, they're not feeling comfortable because you have moved on. So the only solution to that, when you move forward, bring your people with you. So when you gain a knowledge, make sure that your friends have the same knowledge. So your discussion becomes so easy. Right? So the student asked me that question. I was teaching on a certain topic, it's in English. And then one student said, this English is good, but we don't have people to use with. All the people in the camp, they are not going to understand this kind of English. Right? And then I told them, if they can understand it, teach it to them. Right? So you're really willing to use it, but you don't have people to use with. So take your friends, teach them that kind of English, then it's going to be easy for you to use it. Right?
That's true.
So we need to start transferring the skills we have into other people to maintain the community. If you are the only one who is progressing in the community, you are leaving other people behind, you are going to live a miserable life.
That's true.
So I want people to start looking at life the way I'm looking at it. I need people to start hustling, right? Because maybe some people, they have forgotten that is the punishment we have from God, right? We need to eat our sweat.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a punishment from.
So it's a punishment from God.
Yeah.
But nowadays people, they just want to sit down and eat without working.
Just like goats.
Right?
Yeah.
So people need to know that you need to hustle to get food. And that's when the life becomes so sweet. Trust me.
Yeah.
When you go to a farm, you cultivate maize. Right? And you are eating your own maize. You feel good than just buying a maize in the market. Right? Because you know this is the sweat I'm eating. Right? So I really believe that Zaleka will feel that they are living again. They are going to be happy when people, they are going to be struggling to live, working for their life, hustling for their food. Stress is going to be minimized. Because when you are just sitting, waiting for someone to feed you, while you are waiting for, the settlement, and then you go abroad, you're not going to enjoy life. Right? And that's why people are stressed, because you find someone is 5 years in Zaleka and he's more stressed. Oh, they're not calling me. When am I going to abroad? Right? And you find someone else is living 15 years in Zaleka and he's happy. Right? Why? Because that person is living here and he's having work. So they're not thinking about resettlement, they're thinking about the day they played. Right? And then how the days goes, he doesn't know. Right? When you ask them, how long have you been in Zaleka, and say, I can't believe it's 15 years. He still feels like it was yesterday. Why? Because he's busy. So life is enjoyable when you are busy.
Yeah. That's true.
So the one thing which hurts me a lot is when people say there is no work in Zaleka. Why do I see a lot of work?
Plenty.
Right?
That's true.
So I really want to show to people what they can do in Zaleka. I really want to see Zaleka hot movement, people doing, right?
Active.
Right? I don't want to see people sitting or standing at the ground parliament just talking.
The
Right?
parliament there.
Right?
Yeah.
They are men. Right? They need to start thinking, how can I make money? Go there. Right? So, and people are afraid of taking risk. Right? But now, if you don't take risk, you have already taken a risk. Right? So that is my vision. That's what I really want. I just want to help people, because when I see people progressing in life and I know that I have contributed, that's my happiness.
Wow.
So I want to be happy.
Yeah.
So for me to be happy, I need to make other people happy.
Yeah. That's very true.
Before I go to the last question, anyone who's having a question, you are free to ask and is able to answer here. So just raise the question, your hand, and to ask. Please feel free to ask. Yeah. Okay.
Myself to be successful. Maybe at some time I get a job, maybe I become a doctor, then I own a house, I buy a car, I have my family, then I will call myself successful. So now coming here in the camp as a refugee, we have an opportunity to go to school. Of course, we also expect to go in abroad, but then not all of us can go there. What do you think can be a person like me should call successful here in the camp? What is being successful here?
That's a very good question. But I cannot tell you what successful is to you. So you need to define success based on your side. So success definitions depends on individual, because your desire is not my desire, right?
Yeah.
So what you need in life is not what I need in life, right? So other people will tell you having a food without struggling is successful, right? So the moment he have something to do and he knows that he can get food every time, he's successful, right? Someone else will tell you that buying a car is his dream, so you feel success when he buys a car. Right? And then he's going to buy it and he's happy, right? So everyone needs to think what success means to me. What am I going to achieve in life so that I feel like I have done something? So I'll just go back. Success doesn't end with you. That's why most of the people, they are living miserable life, because what they thought was success is not success. So they thought that if they are going to build a house, they are going to be successful, but they're in a good house, but they're not sleeping. So for me, personally, I define success as a legacy. Something I'm going to leave, something which is going to continue existing even when I'm dead. So that's what I call success. So now it's up to everyone now. What do you call success? And then you work for it. I hope I answered your question.
So my question is that when I captured a good way, what you visualize to see happening in life, I can see that portion of challenge as being a value, right? For example, wanted to make it abroad so that some other people should benefit from the course. But the barrier which you got to was some hindrance. You see. So my question is that what are you doing so that this sales and marketing and the other course of finance should not also be faced with the same barrier? What are you doing to escape from that problem? Because the courses are like very important and like essential, like even to us as individuals, even to the community itself.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think as I have said before, I said that I'm learning through my mistakes, right? So that's the mistake I made. I was young, I was just graduating, and I felt like, working with a bigger organization was going to be a great thing, right? So in my mind, I was thinking maybe I'm going to work there forever, right? So that's the bigger mistake which I made. I forgot that everything have a life cycle, right? So everything which is born should die, right? So now I thought working with JRS is going to last forever, but I didn't know that it's going to end sometimes, right? So I realized it later on that that course is going to die. So I tried to save it, but it was too late, right? So I tried to create a course book because I knew if I create the course book, of course I'm not going to gain any money from it by selling the book, but at least it's going to be in the libraries, and even if people are not teaching the course, but people can still read the book and get the knowledge, right? So that's where the conflict came, and I had to leave JRS, right? So now coming back to your question, the very first thing I'm doing for that, I'm creating a module for each course. So every course should have a module, a written module, which even if we stop teaching it to people, they can still access those modules and they read, they learn on their own. So that's the very first thing I'm doing. So the second thing, I'm owning it 100%. Yeah? Of course, I'm trying to get help from people, but now, this time I'm really careful. So I'm not giving it away to anybody. We are creating a partnership. And then in the partnership, there should be written article mentioning that this course will and will always be belonging to Healthy Heart Organization.